It was there? Good. I probably walked past it. I'm glad. And then you should look at the guy, you want to look at it. Can you hear me? She like that. Oh, it's a nice little line. Inside.
So Trina, could you hear her okay?
Oh, yeah. Amy, I was just thinking, since people might, when you log in, it tells you that this is being recorded.
Yeah, I need to.
Let them know.
I'll do that first
It's
thing.
only for your purposes.
Okay, thank you. I do want to.
Sorry, Lynn, I didn't want to forget
You know,
that.
you can turn that off, right?
They're probably in there.
When you set up in Zoom, and you can even go in now, but don't do it now.
Okay, well, she wants it for herself.
I'm just using it for her purpose. Is this going to be too loud for everybody or?
No,
No, that-
Okay.
not with this one. Now, are these things that you are wanting people to,
They're helping, they're afraid if they want them or not. There's a couple of things.
maybe tell them that, so as they leave, they.
Yeah, that's,
And Trina, I'm gonna be back here, so if you need me to monitor, do something here, just let me know. You can pick those up afterwards. Did you want, they're free. I can understand it.
yes.
You want to send a place special
No, there you go.
and a name tag on?
We can see this for people over here.
Still be walking around. Yeah. Julie can sit there. Julie's gonna come too. Oh, good idea. Hear the people in the room.
Recording in progress.
This is your on your phone.
I'm leaving, I just wanted to make sure that it was coming across.
I you said bring a laptop.
Did I say bring a laptop?
It says,
Yeah, you told me to put it in for tablets and
sorry.
laptops.
We're gonna do that on the next session. I'm sorry.
That's okay, I was just, I'm lousy.
Yeah, we were just, this is my first time, so I'm still trying to figure out how I want it to lay out. So to see how it flows better, so that's why, it's the first time I taught this year, so.
It's your audience, so everybody's trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and that's been part of my.
I couldn't figure out this.
Oh, will you share?
Yeah.
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 Just put them in the trustee form. That's what I do with my high school. When I'm in that. But still send it to me.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'll be back next week.
Okay, great.
Because it's not. So if you send it to both of me.
I can give you. The access to it.
It's not a big deal. That way I've got staff, email it to me, and then it's a form.
I feel.
It's the first day of school.
You know what it is, it's anticipation, as soon as you start talking. you'll
I
be like,
know, it's just,
It's
every
amazing.
time I feel like just start the presentations that.
I told my students that it, all the way to 34, my 34th year last year, I'm still nervous the first day of school, I still get butterflies and everything.
And
They're like, "Why
and
you did
this,
it?"
mine is more about flowing, if it's gonna flow correctly. So we'll pick it up.
Yeah, and that's, I know what you mean by that.
If I'm not like jumping too far and then having to go back. So that's like, hopefully not.
I moderate because I know how, I can anticipate.
Especially, and that's exactly.
Now that would be.
Yeah, yeah, we've got, we just stops, like after a certain minute, I have to stop so we can ask questions, talk about rights. And get to the next.
I'm trying to remember.
He was bicycle, he came over to visit us during COVID. And it's just that time we were in such intenseness, like everybody else got to have breaks and go home. We were in high alert to make sure we were down and my bikes would get sick and the protocols changing. It was exhausting. It was like, I was incapable of doing anything more.
Can everybody hear?
You guys hear me?
Thanks, Ben. Amy, I think, so we started out teaching just on Zoom, but we were in our classrooms. So it was really weird, you're in a classroom, an empty classroom,
I can't imagine.
talking to, and none of the, well, we have, I'm in Caroline, I was in Caroline County, so Wi-Fi was fine. So either the kids couldn't put their video on because it used too much bandwidth, or they chose not to. So you're just looking
Black
at
things.
rows of, yes, rectangles, and I said, just flash on real quick, just so I can see somebody.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here all day by myself.
Yeah.
And then we went to kids in the room and kids on Zoom, which was like teaching 2 classes at once.
I bet that was travel.
That was exhausting. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And their screens.
Yeah.
It was, well, I had this in the classroom and I shared, so it's very much the same setup we had.
Yeah, the
But I would
teenagers
have
would
to
be
know
playing
all
with
those kids and be able to be on the
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our board members teaches master's level classes online. And when she's teaching in other countries, she's got a translator and that's literally the only person. Oh,
Right.
She's teaching. Oh, no. It's the machine. China.
Like, they don't even know if they're doing
Yeah, well,
kids.
translator, translate.
That would be challenging.
It was funny when the kids came back to school, we got, you know, the truth came out. Oh, yeah, I turn on Zoom and then go back to bed.
It's all right. That's right, it's so and it is.
Trying to get this out. Structure. Because it's so hard to get these.
And my staff had children, so it's affecting them as well, that they have to give it time to take care of us, and trying to get it taken care of us, and they're trying to make sure they do this, so we don't.
Take care of themselves.
Right, well, we all found that. I have my own situation.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody set up.
So let's get everybody settled. Thank you for coming so much. The two seats over here. If you don't mind going to that.
This one is,
Are you saving those seats?
this one is taken, not that.
Okay, yeah, there's a seat up front here, guys. There's one in the middle.
We want to fill the seats that are.
You can pull it, yeah. Yeah, Kathy, just go back here to the middle table and you can both sit down.
Just so I can show this, that, then we can make a decision.
Yeah, I would go.
I just want her at this place.
You know what? I'll do it.
Because I want her to be able to see how.
Well, yeah, you can do it too, but I know I want one.
Okay, mine's more for that.
So it looks like we're about ready to start. Evelyn, give me a thumbs up if you can hear us. Just a thumbs up. And you know, and you found where your unmute button is on Zoom so that when we do questions, you know how to ask questions. Okay, you can do it through the chat as well, because Trina will be monitoring the chat, right? Okay, so thank you, Amy Keller, for coming to this. We were just trying to remember how we found her, and it was my husband tooling around town, and he thought, Asian place, oh, I need to talk to them, because we had been bugging each other. We need to do another class that talks about what the options are as we age. And it's on the minds of a lot of us. And we're concerned about what to do with spouses and how we can get care for them, how we can get care for ourselves. So that's why Amy's here, and she'll be here next week at the same time and bringing some guests with her too. I know that the email went out this morning saying bring electronic signatures, but you don't need those today. But if you're taking some notes, we'll tell you next week. The login for the Y here is very simple. It's families, plural, with a capital F and an S on the end.
But they'll need you want them to bring their tablets and laptops
If you-
next.
That's not, yeah, because I'm not sure it's of any value. I think, because we're sending them all the links anyway, so I
Yeah.
think we can walk through it.
Yeah, you will, yeah, that probably makes more sense than trying to do it yourself, but anyway, so welcome everybody. I do want to let you know that Amy will be taking 2 breaks during her presentation for questions. So if she says something and you want to, if you have a question about it, just make a note so that you can ask her later. And with that in mind, remember, we're a large group here. And we have a number of people joining us through Zoom. We can't hear each other if a bunch of people are talking at the same time. So please raise your hand if you have a question. And then Amy will call on you. If you've got your name tag on, she'll try and call. I know it's kind of hard to see some of those names, but we might just point. And then, and for you on Zoom, the same thing. So raise your hand, like by your face so that Amy can see you. And then remember to turn your mic off or turn your mic on so that you can speak. If there are no more questions, anyone with any questions before we start, then I'll let Amy take that away.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to start with, I want to see why you're here. And so we can understand it. It's for yourself, if it's for a sibling, it's for your spouse or a friend. So can you just do a quick interview? I mean, just say your name and.
I don't have anything right now. I'm just thinking for the future in case I do have something.
That's awesome. Not many people are doing that these days.
I feel the exact same way. I'm just looking at the future.
So that's a ditto. Okay.
For the future also.
Wow, I love it.
Yep, me too.
Just say your for the future.
You know,
I know. Wow, this is awesome.
same.
Spouse, right.
Okay.
Just getting older and want to know what the options are.
Well, you're very
Do it
smart.
gracefully.
Yeah, you're very smart to do it so that you know ahead of time before crisis comes, and then all your options start getting taken away. So that's what this class is about. I'm gonna give you some of the rights, what buzzwords you can use in certain spots in this. So our first one is before you call 911. Do any of you guys have a MOLST? Okay, we'll go to that in two slides. It's a medical, we're gonna jump and do it in 2 months. I messed up a slide. In your freezer, you should have a list of your medicines, family document, if you have met with a company and you want them to be helping you, family contacts, and have information, so we have the information to give EMS. Talbot County is in the freezer. Is where they want it, I'm not arguing, but that's where they want it, that's where they expect it. So
Do you know if that's a common place?
no,
Like,
every
I
county is
live in
different, so it's like the same. Yeah, every county is different. This form is awesome to have. I have it in an attachment. You type in, fill this out, you give it to EMS, and this is in the system. It can even put like where your hidden key is, so they don't break your door down, because they will break down your door if they have to. So it gives you that, now it says, it also says in any of your medical histories, we also put it in for people that have dementia or brain change, because they have to approach them differently. So there's some training on that. So this is a really good thing to use. I know some people are like, I don't want them to know where my hidden key is. It's in the EMS box. It's not, it's been a very good tool. And then you know where to drop it off at EMS, right? Do they have an address on that? No, but I bet it does on the link. Okay. So this is, does anybody know the difference between a directive, advanced living will, or versus a MOLST? So what has happened is, I'll let you do this and then I'll explain.
Are hard to think about and discuss, but it's important to be sure you and your loved ones are taken care of properly. With all of the technological advances in healthcare, it's more important now than ever. Let's talk about a new form that can be of use to you. It's a Medical Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment form, or MOLST form for short. That's MOLST. The MOLST form is a medical order signed by a physician, nurse practitioner, or physician's assistant, which affirms your wishes in regard to a set of medical interventions related to your current medical condition. Because it is a standard form and only 2 pages, in a crisis, medical providers can quickly glance at the MOLST form and see what choices you have made. The MOLST form contains medical orders regarding whether you want cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR, and whether you want other life-sustaining treatments related to your current medical condition. The MOLST form's orders are based on your consent or the consent of your authorized decision maker if you can no longer make decisions for yourself. The MOLST orders can also be based on your advance directives instructions. You should discuss with your physician, nurse practitioner, or physician's assistant what option regarding CPR makes the most sense for you given your medical condition and your goals for your care. If you do choose a DNR order, you may wish to discuss with your healthcare provider whether you should get a DNR or MOLST bracelet. You should understand the differences between an advance directive and a MOLST form. A MOLST form contains medical orders that are relevant to your current medical condition. An advance directive contains preferences about treatments sometime in the future. An advance directive is not a medical order. It does not stop emergency medical service providers from attempting cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR. In fact, emergency medical service providers are required to attempt CPR unless there is a no CPR order or a signed MOLST order form. For example, suppose I'm at home and I have chest pains. I ask my wife to call 911. By the time the ambulance arrives, I've lost consciousness. The emergency medical technicians rush in and my wife says, "Here's his advance directive. He does not want to be resuscitated." Well, the EMS providers will still proceed to do everything they can to revive me because the advance directive is not a medical order. However, the MOLST form is a medical order, and all healthcare providers are required by law to follow it. The MOLST form makes it clear to family, friends, and caregivers what medical treatments you want or do not want. It can prevent arguments. It can relieve the people you care most about from the burden of making that very difficult decision. The MOLST form goes where you go, to the hospital, to rehab, to assisted living, nursing home, dialysis center, and back home. And it's reviewed every time your medical situation changes. When a MOLST form is filled out, your provider will only complete those parts of the form about which you have made decisions. Filling out a MOLST form is completely voluntary. But if you don't fill out a MOLST form, everyone will assume that you want every treatment available, like CPR, machines to help you breathe, or blood transfusions. Ask your doctor, nurse practitioner, or physician assistant if a MOLST form is appropriate for you or your loved one. You can learn more about MOLST by going to the Maryland MOLST webpage. That's MarylandMOLST, all one word, .org. Again, MarylandMOLST.org.
We did attach this for you guys at the end of this, so you have that where to go. It's really important because they're using new work. Before advanced directive was all you needed. Now it's not a doctor's order. You need a doctor's order. And the other trick that he said is in the crisis that you're in. So this is where you're standing. Life is doing pretty good. You might have you want CPR, you want to have all the extra things that you can have. The problem is, I had a client, sadly, who was being sent home on hospice on a Thursday night. Hospice wasn't going to be able to get there until Monday. The doctor at the hospital didn't change the order that he was going home on hospice. So they had to CPR when he passed. And it was absolutely hard. It was a friend of mine. And it was, I'm holding her and she's crumbling because she wished she had known that. So it's really critical for you guys to look at this and really get it in place. Keep a copy with your legal stuff, one in the bag. I'm a big believer, and I did this with my own parents. I kept my parents' directives, medical directives, in my car. Because I always knew I'm not gonna leave it, I don't have to carry my purse, but if I keep it in my thing and at the hospital, I can run and grab it and get back to the hospital. So you just have to look at this in a different way than it has been. In the hospital, they'll try to have you do a MOLST. Be cautious that if you have some brain change going, you need to make sure you have somebody who is, if it's your spouse, who can speak to you on your medical side of the directive. So now we're going to go to different types of hospitals. There is, basically, we are a community hospital. Hospitals that are, so you have trauma hospital centers, the pediatric, that's like John Hopkins and Anne Arundel just opened up a section in their hospital just for pediatrics for them. Trauma level 1 is critical. That's, you're going to shock trauma. And what that means is that you have all these advantages to it. You have, it tells you, is a doctor there 24/7? Is a surgeon there 24/7? Is a surgeon, 2 is a surgeon's there within 30 minutes. So there's all these levels. Salisbury is a level 3 trauma. And I can speak from experience. I badly broke and dislocated my ankle almost 2 years ago. And 4:30 in the morning, so fast. So they wanted to get me over to shock trauma. It was raining, they couldn't take me, I held out. So they said, you have your choice. Good super choice. Well, I don't know what my options are. What do you mean I have good super choice here? You can go to Salisbury or you can go to Delaware. I asked BMS, I said, which one's better? He said, I'd be going, if it was me, I'd be going to Salisbury. I have to tell you, he was absolutely right. As their broken bones and things like that, they are amazing. It is a company, POA, which is a rehab place. They know the advantage of it is the people you see in the doctor's office run the 4th floor. They even had a skeleton part in the rehab area that you had to see what height it was, so when you need to go home, you can go home. Well, I ended up getting a new car because I couldn't get into the installation and I couldn't get into the truck. So there's a lot of those things. So you just, if you have the opportunity, and this is my opinion only, and from what my experiences have been, if you have a choice that you, not an emergency, but if you have a choice to go here or go to down in Salisbury, then you go down Salisbury. Because most of the time, and this has happened another client of mine, she fell and she thought she broke her ankle, but she didn't really know, and she said, popped herself up. Finally the daughter got her to the hospital. The hospital just bagged her up, said, go see Delmarva on Monday or Tuesday. That sounds great in theory. She's 86 years old, not to put any weight on her foot. And even if they cast her, she's still not to put any weight on her foot. She can't go to rehab. She didn't stay in a hospital for 3 days. She can't go to rehab. So they take you in down there and they take care of you. My problem was I was about to lose my foot because it was dislocated and I had no blood flow. Okay, which meant I wasn't in a lot of pain, but I was in very much danger of losing my foot. They were literally waiting for me to come off the EMS, come out of the ambulance, and they had doctors on my feet trying to get a pulse, see if they could get a pulse. They are just equipped for it. They have surgeons right there that will operate right there. I'm not trying to put Easton down. It's not that, it's a different level of care. They don't have that surgeon. So I just kind of put that out there.
You're comparing it to right here.
I am Easton. And even when they built a new hospital, it's not gonna be a triage hospital. So unless it's a triage hospital, you've got to make choices. Unfortunately, everybody knows if you have to go out of the hospital, then it will be heck or high water to get over the bridge, because they're not allowed to drive the ambulance over the bridge. And if you say, I want to go to Anne Arundel, they'll say, no, you have to come here first. Unless they saw I had a compound fracture, I had 3 breaks, my bone was sticking out of my foot, and my foot was dislocated. Obviously, EMS had all of it was dyed so they could. But in general, you have to go to Easton first, which bottlenecks us here. So,
I have a question.
yes,
So you have to check in with Easton Emergency first, and then they send you to.
if they can't get it fixed within a couple of days, if it's traumatic that needs to be done today, absolutely, they'll get you out. But in general, if you've broken your foot, you're gonna wait a couple of days, you're gonna go home, they're not gonna keep you unless it's really bad. And then you're gonna go see the orthopedics, and then you're gonna get your operation with the orthopedics. But if you're 80 years old, you're using a walker already, and you can't bear weight, and now you're at home, now you gotta pay for care, it's just a little convoluted. Can I get 2 more slides, and then I'm all yours? Well, actually, no, you can. There you go. So what was your question?
The emergency service, in Island, what's their status?
Their status is they're part of Easton. If you go to there, they're gonna take it Easton. They're not gonna take you over the bridge unless it's critical, operational, surgery, immediate.
My second question is trauma 1, 2, and 3, which is the best?
The best is 1.
Okay.
So I was very strict. I'm not saying anything either way, but that you do need to know there are different levels.
You're talking about a broken bone.
I'm talking about a broken bone that it was coming through.
I understand that,
Okay,
but you're talking
yeah.
about a bone that's broken.
Right.
What about all the other things that could happen, like a heart attack or stroke?
You're going here.
Yeah, and my father was visiting a couple of years ago and had a heart attack. We went to Easton. He was there for a week. They put a shunt in. And my dad has had triple bypass surgery. He's been in many hospitals. He said it was the best care he's ever had.
In Easton.
In Easton.
Easton's not even a cardiac care hospital.
They have a new cardiac, or at that
No,
point they had. a
but
new
they're
one.
not. I mean,
There really aren't.
MedStar in Annapolis is, but I don't believe Easton is.
It is not. But that's the problem. They will try to stabilize and they'll fix the things that they can fix here.
The Easton's associated with University of Maryland, so that's the first place they're gonna try to send you, is to a University of Maryland hospital. They don't send you out to Anne Arundel or Salisbury because they're not in the system.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm sorry.
My husband had passed out in the cardiologist's office after he had a checkup and hit the back of his head, and he was out. They gave him, ran from the doctor's office, gave him oxygen while EMS came. They said to me, we don't have a helicopter available, he has to go to shock trauma. We're gonna take him over to Baltimore, University of Maryland, Baltimore, not to Anne Arundel. So he was saying they
Because it's a different level hospital. Shock trauma is level 1. He
Okay,
probably
they
had
said
a
shock trauma, yeah.
It was probably blood, were they worried about blood?
Yeah, they're worried about, I believe,
Yeah.
the brain.
Then that's why they did that, and that's what they'll do in that kind of thing. They know they can't do it here.
Yeah, they took him by ambulance and I followed the
Right.
ambulance.
And they will do that. I'm not saying they won't. I'm just saying if it's that bad, they will. So I'm not trying to, Easton's been very good to our community as a community hospital. There's ups and downs there, we all know that. I just want you to know what your rights are and what you're going into. That's all. I'm here just to state what I have learned.
And I just want to share something with you because we recently started going to a cardiologist at Anne Arundel, who's a MedStar cardiologist. And I asked her that question. I said, what happens if my husband has a heart attack? And they take him to, obviously you call 911, they take him to Easton. She said, and then you call me and then they'll stabilize him and then they could transport him there.
And she is right to a point because she's over in Annapolis. She can say, no, he's mine, give him to me, kind of
And
thing.
I would tell the doctor here. to talk to
Stabilize,
her.
and then they'll
And they
get
will
him.
talk to each other and so.
So you can't go from, like, if I want to take you by ambulance, I'm mad, I take you out of here and I want them to transport you to Annapolis. The EMR has to agree to accept you, but a doctor can override that.
So that's why I was clear, because I didn't understand how it worked.
Yeah. But, good point. I mean, it's a good point, just to have that. Now, is yours in here, in Arundel, or you actually go to Annapolis for the doctors?
And to Annapolis.
Okay, you're not going to the thing. Any other kind of, okay.
The new hospital that they're contemplating building here in Easton, is it going to be another community hospital or are they upgrading?
As far as I have been told and what I can find, community. I have not heard either or, and this is not a bashing section about Easton. We all know our hospital is lacking things for multiple reasons. I'm not trying to bash them, I just want you to know what your options are. So now you're coming out of the hospital and you had 2 different types of rehab. You had acute and subacute. Acute is a 7 to 10 day rehab. 3 hours a day you have to be able to do. Doesn't mean 3 hours of rehab all at once. They might have an hour of PTOT, an hour of regular, PT, and then OT. So you have an hour here. They might do another one to show you how to put your socks on. You know what I mean? But you have to be able to do the work. My suggestion in all ways is even, they're popping up everywhere. I don't know if you guys have seen these before, Pam. It's in Delaware. They're phenomenal. It looks like a hospital. You go in and it appears everywhere you could think of as a hospital. And you're there for 7 to 10 days. And they do as much as they can because Medicare has finally recognized you get this much therapy in 7 to 10 days, it's going to take you 30 days to do it here. So if you have the ability, fight for that rehab. Fight for your friends, fight for that. And I had a client that I took up to Johns Hopkins and she was taking a medicine and she was freezing Parkinson's. And I knew I couldn't take her here. I literally had the ambulance put her in my car and I took her up to Johns Hopkins. I stayed with her for 24 hours and then I brought staffing. But at the end of the day, they were going to send her home. And I'm like, I said, I kind of lied. It's a rule. I said, I can't get her home yet. I don't have my staff ready. So you can't send her home. The other side of it was, I need a ramp. I need to figure out what I need to have to help her get in the house and get out for doctors. Well, by then, she was getting better at Johns Hopkins because they changed the medicines, and we're now at day 2, day 3. And she heard me say ramp in her house, she whipped those covers off and screamed, no, no, no. So they said if she could do the stair up, she went down, did a couple steps on the stair up, and now she qualified. She didn't qualify 2 days ago. But now that they finally got the medicine working, I got her into an acute rehab. Very interesting. It's just, sadly, I've been doing this since 2009. It breaks my heart that if you don't know it, you don't know what to ask. Now, when they do send you out, yes?
What's the name of the facility in Delaware?
Pam. They also have, there's a different one down in Salisbury. So there's a Salisbury, there's Pam, 2 Pams in Delaware, and then you've got to go past Annapolis, almost to Baltimore, like John Hopkins has one. There's other ones over there. A lot of what they're doing here is sending them to Pam, and it really is a phenomenal place. I've had great success out of there.
Is that an acronym?
What's the acronym stand for?
I can't tell you right now,
Okay.
but I had it in your thing. Sorry, guys. With acronyms, whatever.
But you're saying PAM.
PAM.
Yeah.
So so now, let's say they want to send you home. Let's just say you're not this bad. They fixed you and they say go home. And you don't have the systems in place. You do not have to take them out that day. You do not have to leave that day. You can say, I am not able to set my care up. My house isn't ready. There's lots of buzzwords you use. Me as an example, they were going to send me home. I wanted to go home, but I didn't have a wheelchair. They didn't give me my hospital bed yet. And we're working on buying a new car. That's in the hospital. So all those things, they had to keep me an extra day till they got me the wheelchair. How do you expect? I wasn't allowed to bear weight for 16 weeks. I broke it out of decent. So how was that? What was I supposed to do? So those are the words you can say. So many times families don't know. When they say you've got to go home and you haven't met with a company or family to figure out how you're going to do it, then it overwhelms the family. I had a client sent home, which wasn't my client at the time, a lady sent her from the hospital. She was in back pain, sent home without even a hospital bed. Daughter came up from Virginia, was with her for a day, and on a Friday, she calls me for help, and I go over there with my CM, my care manager, and I'm trying to eat it. The bed, got the bed from upstairs, threw it down, it was too soft, it wasn't really adequate. I could not even get her to sit up without screaming uncontrollably. 911. So we got 911, they brought her back, they loaded up with morphine, and now she's going to a subacute place. So don't think just because they sent you home, if you still are feeling in pain, you have a right to go back to that hospital. They sent her home with Tylenol and Naproxen and no pain medicine. So make sure you know what your spouses or you are getting before you go home. What is your order going to be? And if you know where your pain level is now, and you see this, you can say, wait a minute, I can't manage my pain this way. Nobody wants to go into subacute, but there are times that it's actually beneficial, especially if your house isn't ready for you. You don't have a downstairs bathroom. You have lots of steps to get into the house. All of those things you have to think about. Can I be successful at home? Or maybe I do go into a subacute if I can't do the other, and get the 30 days that Medicare's going to pay and work to get better. I'm not saying don't go to a subacute. There are good reasons to. I'm glad she's going to a subacute right now because her house was not ready for her. It was not ready, it was not prepared. And truthfully, she needs somebody to tell her. You tell her, come on, we're gonna go do this today. So when you're in rehab, there's a 3-time rule. My mom was really good at this. My mother was a little prima donna. And and I thought like how to get her in a rehab that had the swimming pool because she had back problems, everything else. If they come in and say, oh, do you want to go to therapy today? And you say no, they leave. They walk out and no. You say no 3 times, you're out, or you're paying private. Now, sometimes they say it that way, or some places say, come on, it's time for rehab, let's go. But if you ask somebody who's in pain, do you want to? Their immediate action is going to be no. Why do I want to be in more pain? So with that said, we just remember there's a 3-time rule on that, and they will kick you out. Medicare will stop paying. Now, if you just saying one thing for a camera, acute, if you are seeing great levels of getting better, they might keep you for a couple extra days to try to push you a little bit to get you up to a higher level of care. So that way you have the best luck of getting better, back to who you were. So, nursing homes. This is an interesting read. Not saying for you to run out and buy it, but there's a link. You can flip it to the next. These 2 people are from Chestertown, and I think Chevy Chase was the other place. They have a place to help you. They can tell you how you look up a hospital. They have a whole bunch of tabs at the top. I've given this link to you guys. It's not just a file complaint. You can see which hospitals have been dinged lately, which nursing homes have been dinged lately, and then you'll see what the reports are. It's just nice to know before you hit going to 911 to know the information prior. They have a pretty cool website. It's a little bit dated on the tabbing, I had little problems, but it's well worth to know about. And I did add this to this is part of your PowerPoint, so you will get that. And we just talked about filing a complaint and using things to that. So this goes back to stop you have rights. I meant to say something from the very beginning, and I apologize. We're only recording for my benefit to see what I could do better next time. I don't want anybody here not to want to say a situation and this be recorded and used at a later time. It is not going to be for that. So I just wanted, before I said it again, I apologize. Anybody have questions on that part?
What do you do if you live alone?
And you want to go home? You're ready to go home? Do you have family? Do you have a friend? You have to look at the bigger picture, and that's kind of where we're going next. So,
Amy?
yes.
Will they allow you to go home if you don't have somebody there to help?
Most of the time, the hospitals I know aren't. They say you need 24 care. The nursing homes get a little snippy at you, and they'll send you home, but they'll say against their will. That can get you in another problem down the road. So you need to be working with them to say, okay, I think I'm ready. What do you think? And go out. That's what. If you don't want to go to some rehab at all, you could hire a company 24/7 or whatever you need. Every situation is different. I'm not saying subacute has its purpose. It does. But depending on what is wrong with you, the lady that last Friday, her house was not able to take. And the other side of that was financially, she wasn't able to pay because all the money was tied up in her house. So subacute is a good idea for her. It will work. And she'll be monitored with her medicine. And with her medicine paying that high, that's not somebody to bring home. You need someplace that subacute will at least manage the pain until it gets better. So there are reasons. Yes.
There's something, and I can't remember if it was Medicare or Medicaid. My mom had spinal surgery, and she was doing well enough that she didn't need to go to acute or but insurance paid for someone to come to her apartment because she lived alone. To her apartment for 3 weeks, 3 times a day for 3 weeks, and it was covered.
It depending on the insurance, it's and
it was Medicare, Medicaid.
It was Medicare. I mean, no. Yes, Medicare. And then we'll get into that, well, kind of, whatever. But that's a good point. Know your insurance. So insurance said, do I want to pay for how many days? 30 days to 60 days, or do I want to pay 3 times a week for 2 weeks? They might start me looking, Medicare's starting to talk about paying for home care.
And it
But
had to do with
it's not there.
how well she was doing.
Yeah, if there's
Doing
only
low enough
to go
that
home,
they didn't feel like she needed 24/7, but
but
because
she
she was
still
alone.
needed.
Yeah.
So there's different types of care here, and this is a really confusing one. There's home health care, and there's non-medical home care. I don't know why y'all put this together because it's very confusing. Medicare covers skilled home health, covers the skilled nursing. That's PT/OT, could be giving you a nurse, if you had speech need, they come in for a couple hours. Well, actually, they come in 3 times a week. Somebody will be there in some form, maybe PT/OT until you get a little bit better. So the non-medical care is what we do. That is the people that have caregivers that have companies or privately. We'll go into that piece of it in a couple of slides. So you have to, the government makes companies show cause of need. So to show cause of need here, there's only 4 tickets, so to speak, companies, is all that can get in here. So it's going to be Home Call, VNA, Shore Home Health, which now all of these have been bought by United Health. Don't know how that happened or how that's not questionable, but it is. The other company that you have is.
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to answer a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all
Do
right.
they have a question?
Yes, they wanted you to post the number for Voices for Quality Care, and I was just trying to say that you are.
Yes, we
This
have
will
a
all
link.
come out to them.
Yeah, I put links at the end for all of you to have this information.
And I'll be sending this PowerPoint out to you.
Yes.
And you've made a list of links, or it's on here.
It's on here, I believe,
So
and then we'll go from
I'll
there.
send it out with this afternoon.
Okay, so there's only one other option, and that is a Medisys. I used to be a very big fan of Shore Home Health. They got in there right away. They were kicking butt. They were helping my clients get better. But as soon as they were bought, the care level was the same as all 3 of the other ones. And Medisys is amazing. They're good. And one of the things that actually, one of my nephews is a doctor. He's a physical therapist. And he came in because he was doing PT in a building, a facility. And he said to me, I think I want to try this home health. So he went to one of the other companies and he spent a day with them. And before he did, I said, I want you to go to Medisys and spend a day with them as well. I said, see how they interact with the clients. Do they look in the client's eyes? Are they engaging? He came back to me and said, oh my God, Annie, you are so right. And what was that? It's the engaging and the interaction. They are part of your team. And they truly are very good about that. From there, so there's little tools that help us around the house. So here's the situation. Do you want to make some choices before somebody does something? I had a lovely client in a beautiful old waterfront estate who refused to put chairlift, which you should have put a chairlift on her staircase. She didn't want to hurt her staircase. And she didn't want to do any work upstairs. She didn't want anything touched. She wanted everything to stay the same. Well, guess what? The children decided, not saying I disagree, to build a $60,000 bathroom downstairs. And now her beautiful house, her dining room is now her bedroom. But if you thought about some advances to this, you don't have to use just a chairlift. They have these little elevators and they're literally plexiglass, 3x3s. They literally have a metal, like on the wall. It literally can go up to the next floor and go out to your bedroom. Trying to convince my sister to do that because she is redoing her bathroom, and she has that ability and the space in her home. So you just have to think about these things, because think about them and choose them when you have the option, not when family members or other people are doing it for you. So just say you're just starting, a little more aging. We all can't, our eyes are getting worse. I can't remember a day off it. It just is what it is. I'm not saying you have dementia. We're aging. So this clock is one of my best friends, Amazon. So I had a client who was so worried that she's gonna miss something. She walked around all day stressing what day is it. She couldn't figure out what day it is, what time is it. And she was just at very early, just brain change. She's walking around with a calendar. I told her kids, I said, I hear that. She stopped putting the calendar down and she wasn't as worried. Those little things keep them at home. Those little things, why would somebody fight flight all the time? Our job is to keep you guys here as much as we can. The bed rail, it's great. It slides up, it goes 2 feet to 6 feet because it's got pockets and everything. And this is really more for when you're just getting home. It'll help you get yourself up if you're not in a hospital bed. It can pocket all your good stuff that you need, your phone, your glasses, and all the other things. Amazon, I think $100. Tape. All of us as we're aging are normal aging at 80 is like this. Actually, no, that's not 70, it's this. So I can look at you, I can look down, I can't do both. That's why people trip. That's why they fall on the brick. They can't see both. I can look at you, I can look at the ground. And if you're talking to me, I'm gonna look at you and not look at the ground, because that's really looking on the ground when you're supposed to be looking at you. This on like outside steps and stuff all the time, because it just gives you something a little bit farther away from you as you're going to step up. We have tape, there's great tape that will not hurt your rugs or the floors, I promise. It is double-sided, but it's sticky as hoop. And I do that on people. If you don't want to get rid of your Oriental rugs, it's not going to make you get rid of your Oriental rugs, but I'm going to make sure that you're not going to trip over the Oriental rug. So there's those kind of things. This, I call it my senior stripping pole. It is all, sorry guys, that's what I call it. So this is the best thing I've ever seen. I had a lady with ALS, and she had one in her bathroom, she had one by her bed, she had two in the family room, so she could stand up and be able to stand straight for a while. Awesome product, $100. Yes, you're gonna have 2 screws in your ceiling and 2 in the ground, because if you don't, one day it's bad, it'll fall over and it's not gonna be your friend. So just kind of know there are tools out there. That tool helped her live, believe it or not, independently in a wheelchair. We came in and we made her breakfast. She needed to eat some things. We made her breakfast, packed her lunch, and then we came back at dinner to make sure to get her ready for bed. So we were there to get her in the morning, get her up, showered, whatever needs to do, food. Then we came back in the evening, had to make sure the food was delivered, and get her in bed. And she was able to stay independently much longer than she could have. She thought about getting the tools she needed so she could stay there instead of worrying about it. We will be bringing in some people about all the different types of medical supplies that will really help you. We're going to have that next week. So now we're going into what time? Now you're home. And let's see something.
You got 45.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm counting on my fingers again. Different types of caregiver. There's private caregivers. You can hire them yourself. They don't have to be a CNA. That is your deal, and that's what you're going to do. That's great. The government does not tell you you have to have a CNA, like with me, with my clients.
What's a CNA?
It is a certified medical, CMA, I'm sorry. Yeah, certified nursing assistant, oh my gosh, I hate acronyms, I'm sorry, I really suck at acronyms. If you hire, and this is around a lot here, a lot. So you have a team leader and a bunch of caregivers, and she's managing it. That is illegal. They are doing illegal, that's not allowed to happen. If you want to manage it with your family, that's a different story. But if you've got them managing themselves, it's a dangerous road. And I will go tell you why.
How do you know the difference? Some of them have a company name and everything.
Well, we're gonna go into that, so we will let you know. So, what does it mean to you if you hire privately? Your homeowner's insurance, do you guys know, if you hire anybody to come to your house, a tree person or anything under the table without their own company, and they fall and they die, insurance isn't gonna pay for it, they're going after you, your assets. And that happened about 15 years ago in Erie in Annapolis. A guy was cutting a tree down under the table, didn't have a company, and something happened and he died and homeowners wouldn't cover it. Homeowners is not gonna cover anything that you're paying somebody to come and do. It doesn't sound like a big deal that they come over and they do this or that, but there's a reason. So, that's one thing. Verifying if they're eligible to work, obviously. You also so you gotta take a rider on your homeowner's insurance to get a rider of workman's comp. What do you think that starts? Taxes. Government's not stupid. So they figured they could do it. If you're filing it, that's triggering a worker. Now you have to pay the taxes. Now you're liable, or it's called tax evasion. So know what you're getting into, and you're required to pay overtime. Because now that is your employee. Not trying to scare you guys, but just think of that as a broad, how you want that to look. It shows up, I don't know if do you guys get your annual rider like in December or just the time of the year that you started it? It comes in a nice little packet from your insurance for you to read every year, and they add things to take away. About the second or third page in, it says this. If you are going to do this, you need to set up your workman's comp. So, on that, and then of course the filing and the tax issues. So, and this is a publication, I do believe I have the link in there, so you can read this yourself, it's an IRS publication. Okay.
Yeah, I jumped one there.
No. Thank you. I'm still,
Yes, I want this double click.
Okay, sorry. So, home care, non-medical, that's the caregiver side of it. Yeah, home health was a medicist and home call and the others. This is the side that you need somebody to come in and help you. So, there's a license. We are licensed, we are responsible through the state. We have a lot of checks and balances that we have to do through the state. Personal care, companion care, you don't have to be licensed, but we all know companion care goes right into personal care within a couple months, 4 to 6 months. You now have oversight. You have covered there, so if there's a call out, a company will get you somebody else. Nobody wants to have a stranger in their house. But the way you set up, every company's different. We build teams, we don't put bodies in homes, not saying that other people do or not. And then we also do our background checks, and we're licensed and bonded and all of that. An unlicensed company is absolutely no oversight. Confirm, if you're hiring that type of company, confirm they're not giving they're giving W-2s, not 1099s. The labor law has changed 2 years ago, very strictly saying, if you're telling somebody to be there at a certain time, they're an employee of the unlicensed. And there are 2 unlicensed companies right now running as companies in this Eastern Shore, in Easton. If you're interested to know if a company is licensed or not, we have the link and you can look yourself. And yes, we're working on, I'm part of Cabot County Commission on Aging, and we're working on it. I don't want to go there. Okay, so now the big question, do I need to move? Or can I stay age in my home the way it is, or what modifications I have to use? So what are our needs? Is it because your home now starts needing repair? It happens a lot here on the Eastern Shore. As I say to the business of economics, they did a great job 20, 25 years ago telling everybody to come live here. It's great, it's awesome, and everybody comes and they build a pretty house, or they fix up a nice house, and they put the roof on, they get their last car. Fast forward 20 years, and now the house might need a new roof, or all those things that you're not thinking about. So that could be one of it. Does the home need modification? Do you want to do that? Do you want to spend time together? Do you need more help? Do you want to live closer to your children? Do you want to downsize or just better weather? So these are the reasons you decide if you want to stay home or if you want to move. And there's quite a few. Oh, shoot. Oh. Are you answering a question?
Yeah, I've got someone who's saying they're not seeing the full screen. Not sure why that would.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna log in and see if.
Okay, so planning the minutes. I do this all the time. I don't need to worry about my house as I'm renovating it. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I need to decide when I put that new bathroom in, what am I gonna do now? So I don't have to do it again if I plan to stay there. So that's, some of the misses, you never know when that emergency or something happens that now you need it. As your physical and mental health declines, living options start getting fewer. So make your choices as, again, it could be normal aging or not normal aging. I'm not saying it's either. But as you're declining, some of your options are going to start getting smaller and smaller. And community wait list, you don't ever know what the community wait list is. For example, I'm pretty good, I'm healthy, and I want independence or maybe a little bit of assistance, so I'll go to Hartfields or whatever other company there is, and you can stay there and can progress if that's the style you want. And there's multiple companies, other facilities out there that do that. And that's called, just assisted living. Need a little assistant, that can go all the way down to, when you need more assistance than a normal, basically, they'll have your meals made, they'll make sure you're taking your meds if that's what they have to do, med right mind, they give you all of this. But as you're getting worse, then you might end up having to go into memory unit. So with that, we're gonna house it, so obviously, aging at home, this is where you wanna be. A senior community, active adults, or earthier house grounds, no health care services, Londonderry, which a lot of people love, and we have lots of people, it's an awesome place. Assisted living is like Hartfield. And then now we're going into nursing home, nursing care, short-term care, or memory care. When you start going into, so those are our options at this point, and then typically, aging versus not typical aging. We get a little slower. I don't know if any of we are going to be talking about TIPA snow in a bit, but as you're getting slower, and your brain is only going to handle 5 to 10 things. And if you got that much, something's going to drop off. And that happens every day with me. It's like, I can only do this, I can't do it all. And so, it's just typical aging versus non-typical. Doesn't mean it is dementia. It could be UTIs, it could be stress related. There's lots of reasons your aging could be off. Don't just jump to, oh my gosh, I got it, I'm going to be dealing with this. It could be a lot of different things. It could be about, nutritional, tons of different things throw you off on that. when you're moving somebody, now you have somebody has dementia and has been diagnosed. Now it's harder to move them. They know where this house is. They might not know where the bathroom is, but they recognize this. Now I'm going to take them and put them into an assisted living. Now I don't know where I am. And then maybe they've been moved to the lockdown side of it, which is the memory lockdown. A lot of times they get aggressive. And what that looks like is, with the memory unit side of it, that's when pills start happening. They start putting in certain pills. Agitation, it could be, I want to go home. You don't have to always do the medicines. And the one thing I will say to you is, if you go into a lockdown system, your family, if you or a loved one is going there, you have a right to say, do not give her any psychotic medicines or anything without confirming with me. And that is really important to know, because in lockdown units, sadly, it is true that if they're agitated, they're aggravated, they're just all in fight, flight all the time, they're going to be drugged. Interesting enough, dementia is not mental health, but they give them mental health drugs. Why? So think about that. They say it's not a mental health, it's a disease, but they give them mental health drugs and they give them a lot. And you have to be watching that. Make sure you know what medicines are going in. I've had people come out of subacute that I saw a week before, coming home, he wants to get home, his wife just got home from the hospital. Ornery little Annapolis man, he was ready to go. And he kept saying, I want out. I saw him a week before, we're talking, and his nephews were there, and he was just laughing and cutting up and everything. By the time he got home, it took us 4 months to get the medicine out of him. He couldn't keep his eyes open. So the ornerier you get, it can happen. So you need somebody to be speaking for you. Yes.
What choices do you have in a case like that?
Well, that's a good point. So, one of the choices is we need to get our CNAs, our companies, our nurses, a lot of people educated how to deal with it without just going a pill. And that could be redirected. There's tons of different ways to do it. It's them being willing to learn. And we have actually taught a program up at the community college for the nurses that teach the CNA course. And they're actually teaching how to do it, how to positive approach, how to make that work. It's not a difficult program. Actually, my counterpart Beth is teaching a class here in a couple of weeks on exactly that, how to react, knowing what that's happening to him or her, and how I can help. So there is those things. Just be, it's really difficult because the immediate knee-jerk reaction is always pills. And it doesn't necessarily have to be. Now, no, leave it here. Okay. So we have a program we use, and it's called TIPA SNAP. It's easy, it makes sense. When you go to leave, TIPA SNAP, I'm actually gonna get these out, not because it tells you different jets. So TIPA was an OT person, lovely, and she learned this program, she developed it. And she has turned heads about how different ways that you can work with people in positive approach. So we're gonna do, so one of the things you can do if you have those, no, thank you. If you have a cell phone, try it if you want. There's an app for TIPA. It's called TIPA Gems. And if you want to go ahead and do that, because I think I'm going to put on my time.
Can you spell that?
TEEPA. It is a person. Phenomenal. So I am a trainer now, I'm a certified trainer. I'm sorry. TEEPN. It is an app. And look up GEMS, and it's gonna look just like, it's gonna look like right there. That's what it's gonna look like. So if you wanna take a minute and try it, are you okay on my time? It's supposed to be done at 11.
11:30.
Oh, okay. So if you want to take a moment and do it, that's great. The greatness of this is, and it's kind of, we talk all the time. I think I know where I put it in my info.
The Tipa Snow.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep, Tipa Snow, Gens of Mock State. This is a really cool program. So she talks about people failing as their brain change in different levels. So we're going to go into that later, but this is a really good place to look because it tells you what they're doing, how they're acting, and how you can support them. It doesn't mean it's dementia. It's acting like an animal, treat them like an animal, even if they haven't been diagnosed, because it's very typical. For an example, I'm a diamond. I've always been a diamond. My kids are going to be messed up because I'm a diamond. And a diamond, what's what they want? I want the authority. I don't want to talk to this person. I want the top. I don't want to go through that ladder. So that's a diamond. They want what they want, the way they want it. And they're not going to stop. Also, it teaches you things very simple, like don't argue with somebody with dementia. You're not going to win. Don't ask them, do you know who I am? You're just going to piss them off. Don't sit there, Mom, do you remember me? Susie, Mom, which one am I? Kind of cool. So this program, Beth is actually teaching this whole program here. It's really cool. I know there's a wait list, but we're going to see if we can get a bigger room or see what we can do here.
She's asked to keep it at the same number, but she agreed to do it in the future for us again.
Well, actually, she's going to have an extra person to help her.
Oh, is she so?
Dave is going to, I think it's, so I'm going to take a picture of this. I think we can actually do it. That's why I want to take a picture of this room to see if we can add more people into it. So we're getting out of the memory stuff. We're going to go back into your rights. How many people here have ever heard of Project Safe? Yeah. Project Safe was a coalition that was multiple things: bank, police, adult protective services, for vulnerable adults. It's supposed to be a program and a way to filter through. It's supposed to also be with education. There is a link to this. Our state has developed this and nobody's using it, kind of, so it's not going the way it's supposed to. I know in this county, we are working with adult protective services about restarting this, so people are aware of what it is. What should happen is if a bank finds a fraud, they should be calling the Department on Aging first, so they can do their investigation, then go to the police, because they might take it right up to the Attorney General's office or higher up. So Project Safe has a lot of things in there that would help you. And it's just nice to know what those are. I did add the link to you guys. As I said, I'm part of Tama County Council on Aging. We are looking right now to bring in our state's attorney again, our police, the different police departments, to try to reboot this so everybody's on the same page. The problem has been, a couple years ago, financial fraud is also vulnerable adults. So they've added the financial component. Some of the police in our town do not even know that law exists. So we're re-educating them on that. So it's not just mental abuse, it's also the financial component of it. So it's something we need to all be aware of and know it's there. I would empower you guys to click this and see where it goes for you. That's just our information. If you have a question, give me a call. Beth, I keep talking about, she's my care manager. We have all the nice little resources for you guys. You can click them in the PowerPoint when you get them.
Is there a list in here of different facilities that you can get assisted living help at?
You know what, I didn't, but I can do that, have that.
I mean, it's not like a urban environment where there are a lot of options.
No, okay, so I can give you a few. You have Acadia. I don't know if anybody knows about Acadia. They started in, I think Queenstown and then into Denton, and now they just built one or rehabbed a house in Dutchman. It's about a 15-bedroom. It's small, it's more home feel. They also are putting, my understanding is, I don't know this to be 100% true, they're also in Caroline County going to use that for some hospice because Caroline County doesn't have a hospice house anymore. So they're flipping it into that a little bit up in Caroline County. You have Hartfield, you have Dixon House, and I can do this for a living.
Where does Bailey Chase fit into this?
Bailey Chase has the same thing as you want to live alone and you have an apartment until now you're getting a little bit, now you need assisted living and then into direct nurse care. So they do have it say down. So yes, Bailey Chase has it as well. And yes,
Amy, when my mother was aging and we started looking at assisted living options, we were told that it was best to find an assisted living location that could migrate up through the need. Is that even a?
well, that's what they like to say because they want you earlier. But I don't think so, but I think that was how to get you in earlier. Now, even if you were at, let's just say Londonderry, you can still hire caregivers to come in a couple days a week. That's my lady with ALS. Came in every day, morning and night at Londonderry. She got to stay in Londonderry where she wanted to be. So it's just figuring out what are your options and what do you want it to look like.
Amy, I just got it real quick, just a quick.
Oh, thank you.
So those are the ones that are in this area.
In the retirement.
In the Easton.
So what you do, just Google the assisted living.
I just did assisted living, yeah, you can do assisted living.
Can
near
you
me.
add that to the PowerPoint or something? Can we send it to them? Is it worth?
I can add it to what I send out.
There's also Candlelight Cove has a brand new, much shinier building in Queen Anne's County. Very nice, brand new, like 3 years. So they have one of those in Queenstown. So with that, before I get into some of the simple tools, does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Your presentation so far assumes either the person is capable of making decisions or they have family and friends. We got a call actually last night from a neighbor in Baltimore, and we're in a condo situation, and there is a single man there who has no family, has no friends that people know of. The neighbor took him to the physician, he does have dementia, and he doesn't even remember who his lawyer is that has his,
So you really need to call Dog Protective Services to let them help you guys through that. Because they can go, there might be a will in his house, who, you know what I'm saying, I don't know, or a director. But that's really sad, and that's what I don't want you guys to end up.
That's why we're here now.
Yeah, that is why we're here now, because that does happen. And it doesn't happen just in Baltimore, I see it a lot. Because, one lady, we did want her house renovated, and she was 90, and I'm like, really? But you want to live here? And then she got her choices taken away. The daughters flew in like winds of war, took everything out of her dining room, did this bathroom, did all this stuff, which was great. But she didn't get to choose. Not even down to the top. She made a comment about that. She's pissed that they put certain tile down because she didn't get to pick it. So
That's just rude, kid.
it is.
You seem to say that there's the option to go to assisted living without the commitment to do nursing.
Yes.
care. And but there's a tendency for those continuing care retirement communities to say you have to get started at the beginning. So are there wait lists that are super long? I mean, you can
Well-
lock yourself out of options if you don't.
Exactly, and that's what we talked about at the beginning. So check and see. Years ago, I know Londonderry had a huge wait list. Now they don't. It changed, things change every day. So I would investigate the places, go see them. Seek, and the biggest thing I want you to see is how do the clients, how are the team treating you? Do they look in your eyes? Do they say good morning while you're walking and doing something, or you're just getting a tour? It's really important to see these things, because if they're not engaging now, what's next? So we are going to be bringing in some people next week. One is a company called Austin. They have the building where the old Golden Corral used to be. They're renovating that, but they have a and they are amazing. They just came to the Eastern Shore. They've been over on the other side, family-run company. They know how to help you get the tools you need from Medicare, down to they have wheelchairs that you can use just your eye to get it to turn. So they have some really cool stuff. You don't have to necessarily buy it from them. The other side of that is, I had a client who got one and it wasn't working right. It wasn't that, it was a different type, and she kept slipping out of it. So he went to the house and worked on it and got the right part to fix it. It wasn't his, she bought it somewhere else, but they're that good that they'll come in. They will come in your house and make suggestions of what things you should do. How many of you have that nice little suction cup thing on your shower? I get a lot of money from people like you. Sorry, but that will end up free.
Yeah, that's what I want.
You need to get somebody in there to do it, because it is dangerous. It is one of those things that everybody really believes it's gonna work, but the one time it doesn't and you're falling, it's really bad. So that's a no. I don't know why anybody thought that was a great idea, but they did. So I'm gonna just give you a couple things to see. Okay, so I'm gonna have you pass it around, hold it, okay, and pass it. Now hold this one. That's a normal brain. This is a brain that has dementia. So you pass that over, and I want you to feel it. It's 1/3. And so when people say to you, he knows what he's doing, or, they you get agitated, they're doing the best they can with what they have left. So you have to really consider that while you're doing this, because it's true, they're doing the best they can. I know I had a nursing home call me and talk to me, says, I think I need you in here. And I said, okay, why? She says, well, my nurse swears that she's doing this on purpose, the client. I said, well, what is she doing? What did the nurse do wrong? She didn't like that, but it's true, because you set her off. What did you do? And part of it is, again, the approach. In a nursing home, in any facilities, they sometimes don't even face you. They come up from behind you, grab your wheelchair, and start wheeling you down to wherever, and you haven't even said hello to them. They don't know what the heck's happening. And then they get to hit you. Whose fault is that? It's theirs, but who gets the drugs? The person in the wheelchair. So you really have to consider they're doing the best they can. So these are our little quick, I couldn't grab everything today, and I apologize. If you have somebody's having a problem keeping this, reach it, put it down, get it on the table, it doesn't fall off. These are actually originally designed for toddlers. Yeah, it was awesome thing. They are wonderful. And with a client that is, I had a client that was very similar to, well, is what Bruce Willis has. He's lost his verbs. I mean, he's lost all his nouns. He's very little speaking. And sometimes they don't understand where to put their mouth on a cup or a can. This thing is awesome. All you have to do is hold it up and it comes out. Really cool product. Amazon. This, if you have, I'm sorry, I don't get shopping much, that's where I live. I live at Amazon. So if you have somebody who's struggling to keep their food, they keep scooping and they can't get the food up, it has a nice curve. They have plates like this and all kinds of cool things. If somebody's losing some of their dexterity, great product. These, we have in a whole bunch of different ways. These are handles because as you're failing, you're not going to be able to hold that spoon like this, but you can hold this. Stick your normal fork in it or knife or anything else. It's a really cool product because you will notice as you get older, you can't always do this or hold it properly. Great tool, there's tons of different ones out there. This one we did, it's weighted. So it helps them. And they can sit at it. If you don't want them to do that, all you have to do is flip this and now it comes out that way. So it's just a weighted one. This is for somebody who's really struggling, they need it to be weighted. Parkinson's is a real good example of this because they need it a little bit heavier. And this is much easier for Parkinson's as well because it just helps them with that. Now, this, I have these back there for you guys if you want, love it. So, you can see how bright it is. I'm not trying to show anybody's face. We keep this in our clients, in our caregivers' cars. So when they get out at night or whatever, but we have a lot of clients that do it. They also have the one that points. I'm not trying to blind anybody. So it comes in different ways, but it's great. This is a great tool to have even in your house because you know you got to turn off that light before you get to the next room. And then you fall because you didn't see something because you're walking and you're in here. You can't see what's there. So these are the simplest things to do. If you are one of the people that I was yelled at all the time, turn off the lights. It's not a bad idea to see they have sensors now that you can walk by and the light comes on. It doesn't, I'm not asking you to change your lamp. I'm just telling you there are products out there to help you be safe in your own home. So you don't end up with a fall and then it keeps going. That is probably the biggest thing is right now is knowing your space, knowing what you think could be a trigger. And that's really important, knowing you have safety bars where they're supposed to be. Does anybody have any other questions? Yes.
Going back to insurance, do most of the companies that you've been talking about, wheelchairs and others, also accept private insurance?
Yes.
Okay, because we have Care First for outpatient. We do not have Medicare.
Yes, and he'll be here next week.
Oh, okay.
I have them coming in. I have an estate attorney just to say, make sure you have your docs and all of this. He's not, you know what I mean? He's just gonna go over what the different trusts and what that looks like. I'm hoping I get a med assistant here because they are phenomenal. They can tell you things. For an example, you used to have to fall or go to the ER before you could get home health in. Medicare finally realized if I help them before they fall, I'm not to pay as much. Like, so if you're shuffling, you notice you're shuffling, they can come in. The doctor may necessarily write an order. So if I have more a guy or a female who doesn't drive anymore, doesn't get out, gets out with family and friends, but is basically housebound. It's not really like you're housebound. It just means that it's too difficult for you to get to PT/OT. They can come to you. You have that right to call and get that information. The doctor can write an order and they can call it in. You also have a right to decide who you want for home health. And make that very clear. In the hospital, they'll put whatever they want. You have a right to say, no, I want this company. So if you want a phone call, or if you want a medicine, or whoever you want, you have that right to pick. And a lot of people just don't know it. So that's pretty much my touchy side of it. Any others?
What is that double-sided sticky tape you were talking about?
Oh my gosh, it is awesome, and I don't have it with me, but I will bring some next week, and we'll send you a link. It's Amazon. But it does not hurt hardwood floors and not hurt wear and work. We can assure you that we've used it for the last, since 2016.
Occupational therapy, how does that work? And are there places in the county that just do occupational therapy?
Well, so most places do. You can have occupational come to your home if that's where you need to start. If you need more than that, then yes, I think every pivot, any of the PTOT places, the physical rehabs have it. The other side of that is, yes, so occupational. The other side is there's another thing, Parkinson's. If anybody knows anybody with Parkinson's, there's a program called Big and Loud. Amazing. So my little lady I took to Johns Hopkins, we got her hooked into it. Big is big movements in PT, getting this. And Anne Arundel Pavilion does that program. Nobody else does here. Nobody does Loud here, but you can do telehealth with Johns Hopkins speech therapist to work on the loud component of it. The loud component, holding it, isn't to talk necessarily, it's so they can still swallow. It's not just, I can't hear you, it's not about that. It's about holding their tone up, and they do it together. You put a laptop in front, it's to make sure you can still swallow. And that's amazing, and yeah, we don't have that here, but we do because thankfully we have telehealth now. And you can get your speech in your home. If you know anybody into the Parkinson's side, Johns Hopkins has a phenomenal program. There's a waiting list, so get them and sign them up, even before they need it. Get them involved in that program because there's a long waiting list. The only reason my person that I took to Johns Hopkins got in earlier is because I took her to Johns Hopkins. But if not, she would have been 6 more months out. So I would definitely consider that. Anybody else? Did I cover things that you think will help you? I don't mean to be too biased, but it's just, I know what I'm seeing here, that what we're dealing with. And those are the stories that we obviously use. The biggest thing is knowing your rights, knowing that if they say you need to be out of here today and your home is not ready or prepared, well, you don't have anybody helping you, they cannot send you home to an unsafe environment. Buzzword, unsafe environment. I don't have a ramp yet. I don't have the tools I need yet. I don't have care set up yet. All of those things you have a right to say, and I will promise you on a Friday, you'll get a couple more days. Because a lot of home health and home care don't answer phones on the weekends, which we're supposed to book devices to do, but we don't. So if you are thinking about any of those things, just make sure you got your mulch done, go meet with your doctor, get it done. But remember, if a condition changes, please reevaluate that mulch. If you're being sent home to hospice, make sure it's done there because the nurse might not get out there for 2 days. And then you're having a whole nother problem. So it's really important to consider the mulch and the advanced directives and all the others, but take a look at it, talk to your family, your attorney, whatever you want to do, and your doctors. But if you do it now, you get more options, you get your tools.
Amy, I believe that the hospital here has a unit downstairs that if you fill out your mulch Yes, keep it in your freezer, but you can also take it to them and they're tied in with all the hospitals. on
Yep.
this.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, once it gets into the hospital network, it's in there. So what happens if,
Change it though.
what happens if you change it, because it's a different change and you're at your doctor's office? And it's not in the system. They're going by the old one. So it's important for your doctor to either help you get it over to their, thank you, this is all, they just started a lot of this new with the MOLS thing. The MOLS has been around, but teaming up with other hospitals is fairly new. That, not just a Maryland isn't a Maryland.
I found out that I'm a VA patient. I found out that the most that I have through the VA system is not in the Maryland healthcare system. So that's another thing to be concerned about if you've got a spouse who is a veteran.
Really?
They looked for me and they said it wasn't there. They couldn't find it.
So you have to do it twice. Like if you're changing it, you've got to make sure it's in both systems.
Yes.
Wow.
Because with the VA, I'm a VA patient, but because I'm in Easton, they'll take me over here to the Easton Hospital.
Right.
They'll take me to Baltimore or-
Interesting, I didn't know that. But it makes sense, I mean, if you could, so it's getting better, but the biggest push you're seeing at the hospitals is making sure you have your MOLS.
There probably are wait lists for assisted living places. Are they hard to get into? If you stay at home as long as you can, but then all of a sudden it's time to give up.
I would, if you think you've kind of gone down that road, but you're not going to this month, but maybe in months to come, that you think, okay, by summer, I'll have my order done in my home, I'll have it packed up, whatever you want to do. I would be giving them a call now and seeing, and they'll say, the words they're going to say to you is, yeah, we might have it open now, but I can't promise it's going to be there then. It's a gamble, but I think since COVID, it's just changed. The business models have changed so much. When COVID was there, what we were dealing with were a lot more 24/7 cases because nobody wanted them to be at home. I mean, I'm sorry, be in a hospital, nursing home, or anything, making sense. It's shifted back to the true benchmark of our industry, and our industry is typically somebody needs a couple hours a week, average 20. So it went from 168 hours to about 20-30 hours a week. That has always been our business model, like nationally, but during COVID, it was out the window. It's just coming back around. So I'm not sure what their benchmarks are doing. I would absolutely go see some.
Yeah, sure, that's time to figure out the options.
Yeah.
So with the kind of help that you give people with your staff, what happens when there's a big ice storm and all that?
Oh,
stuff?
we got that one.
Back on country roads,
Yep.
do you not take clients because of their
Oh, no.
operation?
So we, as in me, my husband, firefighters, and we get our caregivers in and out. It might look, I might have to say, like, if you're in 24/7, we tell our caregivers, sit, stay. I'm gonna get you, but I got this person to take care. I literally like move puzzle pieces around all day. Snowstorms and ice storms are not my friend. It's exhausting. But what we do is if we're not there every day, but we know something's coming up, we'll make sure you have food in your house before that storm. Or make sure if there's something you need gets to you if you don't.
Anticipate.
Right, we try to look ahead of it. Back a while ago, 2012, I was working in PA in this industry, and I had 230 caregivers under me. And what we had was 17 weeks straight, a snowstorm. It was a snowstorm. We were like, it was insane. I don't want to be that big again. I don't have to be again. We are a very boutique company. But that's just how we've chosen to do ours. But I think, are we good?
We got 2 minutes.
Not too bad. I was just trying to time it to say, yes. I'm sorry.
Do the MOLS form, you need a different one for a different state?
This is only designed for Maryland. It was only developed for Maryland. Good question.
Okay.
don't know.
Because I mean, some people have phones in two different.
Yes, snowbirding. If you guys, this is something totally off the chart, but isn't. If you guys live in the country and you have deer all the time, these are the best things. The whistlers, if you don't know, they open your radiator. They are amazing, and I know people tell me it doesn't work. Well, guess what? I took several deer ones before. It hadn't happened since. But these are awesome, Amazon. But you put them on the radiator. I have all my caregivers have these on their car. We give them to them every year. Yeah, we just, and you know what? We've seen them. We had one of our clients' house that had probably 25 in the field. They all froze when we had them on. They just stopped. So it's worth it.
We do have check-in.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Guys, I apologize. I'm still learning about the webinar, going this way Zoom. Do you guys have any questions? Just Teresa?
What did you just show that you said was on Amazon? Because your voice didn't come through totally. So I'm sorry.
These are whistlers that you put on your radiator and on your vent out in front. And they are just, you pull, stick, peel, you put 2 of them on. And if you're out in the boondocks, actually it doesn't matter anywhere we see deer anymore. So it doesn't matter, 328 everywhere. These are great. I think they're $3. They're just, we use them, we have all of our caregivers have them. Deer whistles. Thank you. Well, thank you guys. I hope you guys learned something.
And if you have questions when you get home, and I know you will, write them down. You can send them to us, or you can send them directly to Amy on her course page. Because on the course page on our website, we have her email there. You just click on the button and you can send it directly to her.
So why go through that way?
Right, your presentation. You'll be getting you'll get something testing form this afternoon. It'll be a little format, and it'll have a link to PowerPoint.
Thank you for all the and let me know. If not, then we'll take a step back.